All right, today we're connecting two things that seem worlds apart, your search bar and the history of public protest. It sounds a little strange, I know, but we're going to look at two very different systems, one corporate, one from the state, that are both designed to create a really detailed picture of you.
So let's just start with this question, because honestly, a new development from Google is making this way more real than ever before. For as long as most of us have used the internet, search has meant one thing. You get a list of links to public websites. Well, that entire contract is being rewritten.
So how exactly is Google doing this? The big idea is to shift search from being a public directory into being your personal assistant. And the key, the absolute linchpin to making that happen, is your private data, stored in all the services you probably use every single day.
Now, it is really important to get the difference here. You've probably already seen what they call AI overviews. Those little summary boxes that pop up at the top of a search page. That's just the appetizer. The real game changer, the main course, is this new AI mode. It's not a box on a page, it's a completely separate, full-screen chat experience that's designed to be the results page.
So what's the secret sauce behind this new AI mode? Well, it's this incredibly powerful concept, the personal knowledge graph. You see, for years, Google has been building its public knowledge graph, this massive database about the world. Now it wants to build a private one, just for you, using the context of your own life.
So, what does this actually look like in practice? Well, it lets you ask these unbelievably specific questions. Things like, hey, plan my weekend in Miami, and the AI can just grab your flight confirmation from Gmail to build an itinerary. Or summarize the key findings from my Project Everest folder, and boom, it does it, without you ever having to open a single document. It's undeniably powerful. And right here, this is where we hit the central conflict, the big paradox. This amazing level of convenience introduces a fundamental trade-off. To get the most utility out of this tool, you have to give it the most control over your data.
As you can probably guess, privacy advocates have some strong feelings about this. They argue that when you combine all this information, your thoughts from search, your life from your emails, your movements from location data, you're creating what they call a digital dossier, a file on every single user.
That word, dossier, it's a heavy one, and for a good reason. This is not the first time massive amounts of information have been gathered to build detailed profiles on people. To really get the potential risks here, we actually need to look at a parallel story of control, one that moves us from Silicon Valley to the state.
To truly understand the bigger picture, we need to wind the clock back and look at a precedent that was set not in a tech campus, but on the streets of New York City over a decade ago.
The second source we're looking at today makes a really compelling case that the playbook for this kind of data gathering and control was actually road-tested by the state during the response to the Occupy Wall Street movement. The argument is that this created a lasting framework for how to manage domestic dissent.
So let's break down this playbook. According to the source material, it was really built on three key things: the legal framework, the physical tactics on the ground, and the surveillance technology tying it all together.
So the legal foundation, according to this argument, was put into place right when the Occupy movement was hitting its peak. In late 2011, a new provision was signed into law that would have a really chilling effect on activists for years. Okay, so the crucial piece here is this one provision, Section 1021 of the National Defense Authorization Act. It put indefinite military detention into law. But what was most alarming to civil liberties groups were these really vague terms, like substantially supported and associated forces, which were never clearly defined.
Now, President Obama did issue a signing statement saying his administration wouldn't use this power on American citizens. But the source argues this was just a political shield, not a real legal restraint. A signing statement is basically just a policy memo. It isn't the law. So by signing the bill, he actually enshrined that power for any future president to use.
And this just perfectly illustrates the tactics on the ground. While that legal framework was being built, a physical one was being rolled out. The NYPD used this combination of high-tech surveillance like Skywatch towers and really aggressive crowd control tactics like kettling, which is literally using nets and barricades to trap protesters for mass arrest.
Okay, so now we can bring these two big threads, the corporate and the state, back together. What we have are two very different systems, built for very different reasons, but they're both designed to do the same thing: collect information and build a detailed profile.
But
It's really important to see that in the corporate world, this isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. Different companies are making completely different bets on our data. Google is clearly betting that more data equals more utility. Apple is going the opposite way, betting big on privacy with on-device processing. And then you have Microsoft kind of carving out its own space with businesses, promising not to use their data for AI training. It's really a battle of philosophies.
Now, what I find so interesting about this is how it pulls everything together. On one side, you've got the corporate dossier. Its goal, profit. Its method, you opt in. And the risk, losing your privacy. On the other side is the state dossier. Its goal, control. Its method, surveillance. And the risk there is losing your rights. Two totally different paths to the same place, a detailed file on you.
Ultimately, both of these architectures of control are getting more powerful and, frankly, more woven into our lives. And as they do, that simple choice, what we're willing to reveal about ourselves, whether it's in a search bar or on a public street, it becomes more critical than it has ever been before.